I've been using Traveler's Company notebooks since 2016, but I have been journaling since I was a child. Now, I won't tell you how many years ago that was because then that would be revealing my age. But over those years, I've tried a lot of different notebooks, different planners, bound journals, different systems. And there was even a time when I actually switched out of Traveler's Notebook, but that barely lasted a few months. And I found myself drawn back into Traveler's Notebooks. But today, I'm not here to hype this notebook up. I'm here to help you decide, is a Traveler's Company notebook actually for you? Today, I want to explain why in a practical way, the reasons it works for me, and hopefully through this video, you'll also know whether the system is for you. I'll also talk about who I don't think the system is for, and in the spirit of keeping things objective, which is hard for me to do since I'm married to this system, some downsides to TNs, which, shocker, there are. So, welcome back. I'm Fira. I'm building a journaling practice that's helping me calm my anxieties and building a journaling habit that I'll actually stick to. Now, quick disclaimer before we go any further, when I say the world's best notebook, I'm not saying it's objectively the best notebook for everyone. What I am saying is that it's the best notebook I have found for real life, for staying consistent with journaling, for spending less time online, and for having a system that can evolve without me having to start all over again. Because that's a real thing. I've struggled with that for a long time. Now, for me, journaling is mostly about two things: memory keeping and getting what's in my head onto paper so that I can think clearly. So, this is my memory journal, and this is my passport journal, which I used as a bullet journal for 2025. And these are examples of some of the notebooks I've used in the past. I use them mostly as scratch paper at this point. I don't know, something about just throwing away a journal when the majority of the pages haven't been used up. It just doesn't sit right with me. So that's why I still have quite a few left. And over time, I realized that while these notebooks are beautiful, the paper is great, and some are actually even super functional and specific, I kept running into the same issues. Now, the first problem has to do with the format. Some of these notebooks felt too restrictive. Some of them are dated diaries, some are prompt based journals, they have specific page layouts. Sometimes there is too much space, sometimes there is not enough. For some seasons, I wanted something vertical. For other seasons, I wanted something horizontal. So I'd feel locked into one format. The second problem is that I found that my needs kept changing. I'd commit to a format that I loved, and then my schedule or needs would change, and suddenly the notebook did not serve me anymore. I'd stick to a format that I like only for me to change my mind later for whatever reason. Either my life changed or the notebook just didn't scratch that itch for me. It didn't serve a purpose anymore. Now, the third problem is what I call the half-used notebook problem. Because it wouldn't fit into my life, I'd stop using it and then I'll be left with all of these blank pages. This is an example. This is by Edit. It's a beautiful hardbound cover and it's got this gold edging. It's a dated diary. This is a 2024 dated diary. It's got one page a day, but I shifted out of this because I found the one page a day format too restrictive for me. Now I do have the Hobonichi, which is also a one page a day format. I use that as my art journal and that works out. But for everyday writing or memory journaling, it's too restrictive for me. So I started writing into it, but then after a while, because I didn't like the format, I just stopped using it. So I've got all of these unused pages. And I know this is a personal thing, but unused pages, they really, really bother me. And it makes me not want to use the notebook anymore. I still do use it as scratch paper. All of these, I still use them as scratch paper. And that's why I keep coming back to Traveler's Notebook. It solves all these three problems in a way that works with real life. Now, the first reason as to why I think the Traveler's Company notebook is a great notebook is the biggest one. The system is modular. So instead of one bound notebook where everything, planning, journaling, notes has to live in the same book, you can separate your life into inserts. And this matter more than it sounds because it means your notebook can change with you. The refills are built for that. You've got your standard white paper, this is your grid paper, you've got the lightweight, you've got the craft, you have even a watercolor, sketch paper, and the free diary inserts. Now, here's what it looks like in practice. If I'm in a really busy season or quarter, I just simplify my setup. Maybe one insert will be for planning. So this is a dated diary insert. I use this for planning, and then I would use, say, the blank insert for memory keeping or for journaling. Or if I'm traveling and feeling creative, I'll just add a temporary insert such as a short trip refill for travel logging, and I'll carry my sketch insert. And I'm able to do this without restarting the whole system. I just make use of the inserts. And when one insert fills up, I don't lose my whole leather notebook. I just switch out the insert or refill, maybe archive it, and keep going with a fresh start. The second reason why people keep coming back to this is because the inserts are blank. Other than the diary refills, there is nothing on these pages. You have no date, no page numbers, absolutely zero text. There are no prompts telling you what you should write, and for me, that freedom is the point of this. Now, if you want structure, you can always choose the lined, the grid, or the dot grid, but you're still not locked into someone else's format. This is also why it reduces that starting over feeling. You don't have to begin on January 1st. You can just begin whenever you want to. In the past, I have tried prompt-based journals. This is an example of one. This was given to me as a gift, the Wellness Journal. It's interesting. They do have some pretty interesting prompts, but not something that I am drawn to. I prefer to freewheel it, if you will. I know these kind of prompt based journals really help some people, but for me, they feel restrictive and I end up not using them. And the fact that these inserts are blank really allows you to play around with your creativity. And that's exactly what I've done. I've adapted the notebook over the years and I still continue to do so to this day. This is an example of my first entry. I created a one line a day memory grid for January. It's heavily redacted because it's quite personal. Let me just cover this up. I experimented with the horizontal week setup. My last project, where is it? I actually created my 3-year diary, which I absolutely love and adore. And this is one of the biggest reasons I've stayed consistent with Traveler's Company over the years. It really allows you to play around with your creativity and make this fit into your life. Now, not many people talk about this, but another reason why Traveler's Notebook is so popular is because of the limited number of pages. Now, I know that sounds counterintuitive to say. How can fewer pages make this a better journal? But fewer pages mean less pressure. Now, most of the refills are 64 pages. This is the MD paper in white. You also do have the short trip refill that has 32 pages, and you've got the lightweight paper that has 128 pages. Now, the majority of the refills are just 64 pages, so you're not committed to one notebook for a whole year. If you change your mind, you can finish an insert, swap it out, and move on without feeling like you've failed a journal. It's great for beginners because a lot of times I know that people are paralyzed when it comes to putting pen to paper, what to write about, what do I use this journal for? And because the pages are limited, you can always just switch out the insert for another one should you feel the need to change direction. And I know how satisfying it feels to finish a notebook. So the inserts will kind of help you get to that goal. Now, the other reason as to why this is such a great notebook It's the simplest to explain, but it's actually really hard to quantify. Traveler's notebook makes me want to come back to paper. It makes me want to write more, to use it more because of its quality and aesthetic. Now, on the quality side, everything is beautifully made. The empty paper that is used, not with all inserts, but that's the paper that's generally used with a lot of the inserts. It works well with just about every pen I have. These are just some of the pens that I use with my traveler's notebook. I did a whole ink and paper test with the Beno pen, so you can refer to the last video if you're curious about how that worked. But yeah, the writing experience is fantastic with any pen on empty paper. Now, on the aesthetic side, the whole philosophy of Traveler's Company is that when you're using a traveler's notebook, it should feel like you're starting on a journey, that it's a companion for life. And you get that vibe from the leather cover and the accessory. It's got that old timey feeling, which so many of us are nostalgic for. You know, that bygone era where phones were not this extra appendage attached to our bodies. And the leather cover, it ages. There are scuffs on it. It gets character. And it feels like a personal object that you have actually lived with. And I know aesthetic is subjective, it differs from person to person, but it is such a big reason as to why we come back to certain things and use them over and over again. And with Traveler's Company, you can be a hardcore minimalist with just pages and pages of ink soaked writing, just shades of stark white and stark black ink. Or you can be a maximalist with tons of stickers and glitter and receipts and, all of the other pieces of paper that honestly really belong to a trash can but somehow finds its way into your journal. So, Traveler's Notebook allows you to use it however way you like it. And if you decide to go from one extreme to the other, its flexibility allows you to do that. And that's important because the best notebook is the one you will actually use. Now, the last reason why I'm such a fan of this system is the limited editions. If you've watched my video on the limited editions or the video on the editions available exclusively at the Traveler's Factory, you'll know that the company brings out different editions of notebooks, journals, accessories, stickers, bags. You even have an accordion and a shoehorn should you ever need one. Now, part of the struggle with being a lover of paper and stationery, at least for me, it's a temptation of wanting to try a new journal, wanting to start a new page, try a different format. But because Traveler's Company is constantly collaborating with artists, coming out with new releases, they still manage to keep things fresh and exciting for the stationery collector. But the variety and releases that they have year round make it such a fun brand to stick to. But that's also a double edged sword. It could lead you into the rabbit hole of collecting instead of using. And on this channel, we try we try to use up our stationery, not hoard them. Now, who is a traveler's notebook not for? If you hate the idea of multiple inserts and you want one bound notebook where everything lives forever, you might find this a little annoying. The inserts might also feel a little too brief for you. If you prefer a notebook that comes fully structured with the dates, the prompts, the page numbers, the ends might feel a little like too much decision making. Another important thing to note is that if you want a pristine notebook, this is not for you. The leather is soft, it scuffs, it gets marks. Every time you add a charm, you invariably will make some sort of indentation on it. And I think that's part of the charm of this notebook. In fact, this is a notebook I've had since 2018. It's the brown, and I have never bothered to polish it. It's got scuffs, it's got marks, but I kind of like the way this looks. So if you don't like the look of the scuffs, this is not for you. I do come across this quite often on Reddit sometimes. People are surprised by how easily the leather cover scuffs, and if this is something you cannot abide by, then this is not for you. Yeah, this Tokyo edition is also starting to look a little worse for wear. I think after I'm done filming, I will probably buy the leather balm from Traveler's Notebook. Give these covers a bit of TLC. Lastly, if you don't care about how a notebook feels and you're purely in it for function, you may not get enough value from this. The materials used by Traveler's Company to make their notebooks and accessories are of premium quality, and therefore they are not cheap. So they would be quite an expensive mistake to make if you find that you just won't use it. So this is my suggestion. If you are not sure about whether this system is for you, don't buy the notebooks. Just buy the inserts. Buy the blank insert or the grid or the lined, whatever floats your boat, or even get the half trip refill and see if it works for you. Don't invest your money in the journal. It's just money gone down the drain if you don't like this. And the inserts are obviously a lot more cheaper. And you can play and experiment with these to see if this is actually something you would use. And this leads me to the number one downside of Traveler's Company. It can get expensive if you buy everything. These are quality pieces, and as with everything that is handmade, the prices reflect that work. Especially if you go down the rabbit hole of coveting a specific limited edition notebook that's not available in the free market anymore, and you go through the resellers, oh boy, that's going to cost you a pretty penny. Now, the second downside is that it can get quite bulky if you overstuff it. So ideally, 3 inserts is what a leather cover can normally take. But even with this, depending upon the inserts and the amount of items you stick into it, you can still get that overhang. And this annoys a lot of people. I don't mind it. In fact, I need to remind myself to film a video on how one can reduce the overhang. Now, the third downside is that because of the yearly releases and the collaborations, it can distract you into collecting instead of using. And I will be the first to admit that I am guilty of that. I have one regular TN and 2 passports that I am yet to use, not to mention all of the stickers that I have, but I'm trying, I really am. So those are the 3 downsides I can think of. If you can think of any more, let me know in the comments below, because I'm trying to be really objective, but it's hard when you're married to the mob. But really, if you keep it simple, you treat it like a tool and, not a performance, it's actually one of the most consistent journaling systems that I've ever used. Okay, so you've watched the entire video, you're still here with me, and you've decided, yep, this is for me. I want to get into this. I want to get started. How should I do that? Now, the first thing you need to do before spending any money is to decide on the cover, the size, the color, and the inserts that you want to begin with. So I recommend that you watch my beginner guide to Traveler's Notebook first to get an idea of what's available. After that, let's talk about the simplest setup that I would recommend you to start with. I'd choose 2 inserts and maybe a third. So the first insert could be a journaling insert. This is where you write, and it could be, it could be the lined, the grid, the dot grid, whatever makes writing feel easiest for you. Then the second insert could be the planning insert, the bullet journaling insert. This can be your weekly planning where you sort of list down all of your task lists. It could be a habit tracker, something that just helps you reduce mental clutter. Now, the optional third insert could be a capture insert. This is where you put in your list, your ideas, quick notes, maybe a bit of junk journaling, anything that you want to keep but you don't want to overthink. And I recommend 3 because it would also help you decide whether you can actually live with that overhang. And as for accessories, honestly, just keep it minimal. Just have a pen that you genuinely like, maybe a clip or a pouch if you need to. Everything else can come later once you decide that this is the notebook and system that you actually want to stick to. So yeah, so those are the reasons I keep coming back to Traveler's Notebook after all these years. It adapts as my life changes. It helps me come back to paper, be more present. It helps me stay off the phone, which which is ironic because I'm filming this on my phone and you're probably watching this on one, but you know what I mean. So if you're new and you're deciding between sizes, my next video is actually going to be on the passport size versus the regular size. It's a practical guide to which one would fit your life. So if you're using a traveler's notebook, what do you use it for? Do you use it for planning, journaling, memory keeping, work, travel? I'd love to know because I'm nosy. Please hit the like button if you've enjoyed this video and maybe consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.